Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 2 of
Another Spooky Podcast.
Another Spooky Podcast. Spooky.
With your co-host, Karina Reyes.
And Irma Cornejo.
Woo!
Yay! Episode 2, you guys actually came back.
We want to start off this episode by saying that we're very thankful for all the listeners and the people who have streamed us on YouTube, because put together we have in total almost 200 listeners, 192 listeners.
That's crazy.
So that,
yeah,
we were not expecting that. We were, realistically only aiming for about 50. That was
at most.
Yeah, that was our kind of main goal for it. But you guys we are just thankful for everyone who shared our posts on their social media, supported, follow, listen, and just gave us so much support, and we're very thankful.
Yes, thank you again, and we're excited to have you guys come back, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And if you guys don't, well, it's okay.
We tried. We did great.
We forgive you guys.
We'll have another episode.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit more comfortable, so just stick around. We'll get better.
Yeah, and we're finally getting our shit together.
Actually, maybe that's a little
too soon to say.
Because in the beginning, we were telling everyone that we were going to be on Apple Podcasts, which we are still going to be on Apple Podcasts. It's just Apple is not really...
They're being shady as fuck.
So... they're kind of lagging it a little bit. Not us, guys. They are. And they're just kind of nitpicking every little thing in our podcast. So we're taking a little longer with them. And we're working with them. Hopefully, they're able to put up our podcast and get us verified. And once we're verified, we'll be on.
Yes. We'll be on all platforms. So
so hold on for a little bit, guys. Hopefully, you guys are able to join us, those who listen to Apple and have an Apple
product.
Yeah, so
we're trying to get more listeners.
Yeah, and if you guys have Android, y'all are set. You guys can listen to us. And yeah, guys.
Yes, so we have some exciting news. We got our first sponsorship. So, which crazy because we did not expect that on episode.
We actually got like a DM about a week ago, right? Like, I think it was like the 3rd. So our episode went up on Sunday. And we got a DM, I think, it's looking like we got it on Tuesday.
We appreciate them. So, for our first sponsorship, it is Preciosa Lashes.
Woo-hoo!
Yay! Preciosa Lashes.
So, thank you so much for sponsoring this episode and for donating to us. That is just super amazing.
And we're really excited about working with Preciosa Lashes because they are a Latina brand.
Yeah.
And like us, we're both Latinas, so we appreciate that. And they're from California too, which is amazing. And you can get all your lash fix from Preciosa Lashes.
While listening to this podcast, you guys can be looking cute. About myself, some
Preciosa Lashes. Yeah, same. I got a couple styles too. I'm gonna get some more. But we suck at sponsorships, so sorry.
It's alright. We're getting more comfortable, guys, as we go.
We'll have all their information in the description below, so feel free to look them up. Their Instagram handle is at preciosa.lashes._
And you guys can find their Linktree link on their social media. So if you guys have any questions, you guys can go ahead. We're going to link them on our social media. And you guys can go ahead and get yourself a few lashes to look, again, fabulous while listening to our spooky podcast.
Yay! Thank you again, Preciosa Lashes.
Yay! Guys, for this episode, it's my turn. Since last episode, it was Irma's. And I thought, you know what, Irma? I think it's a good idea to invite someone for this podcast for the second episode. What do you think?
I agree. We have a guest.
Yeah, and
second episode. Wow.
I think she's a little nervous, guys. So just give her a little, give her some time to get a little comfortable.
I think she's
kind of looking at me a little weird right now, but
are you okay? You good, girl?
I don't think she's that okay, but it's okay. Girl, we all went through that for the first episode. We were a little nervous too, so we're giving her a little pep talk here, but hopefully she doesn't end up crying.
Yeah, hopefully. So she looks a little
sad. Here, let me just give her the mic.
gonna come
Dude,
for
shut
us.
up. How can he scare you, stupid? Dude, you stupid. I hate you. Why'd you have to say that shit, bitch?
Anyways.
I'm turning red.
Me. I'm scared. So did you guys guess who our guest was? JK, she's a legend.
But she was like having a hard time.
Yeah. she a legend, she a queen.
Yeah, she's going through her thing right now.
She kind of going through it, but we
It's
appreciate
okay. We're
her.
here
Don't
to...
come for us, girl.
Yeah, do not come for us.
We're scared.
Because Bad Bitch Judy came for us last episode.
Bad Bitch Judy got her back.
I didn't post what happened to me, but you know what? I will post this soon. Just let me edit that video out. Get that out there.
Mm-hmm.
But for this episode, we're talking about the one, the only, La Leyenda, La Llorona.
Yay! I'm kind of scared though because we're recording in Karina's haunted ass room.
You know what? Okay, for this episode, I was kind of thinking about going for the whole California thing. Like, okay, we're going to start, where we come from, like, kind of like what you did. And I was like, you know what? Something that has always scared the fuck out of me growing up was La Llorona. You
mentioned her name and I get chills.
Dude, and I was talking to my dad about it, actually. And I was like, Dad, like, what do you think about this topic? And he was like, no, mija, no.
She's scared.
Yeah, and he was like, te da miedo como cuando estabas chiquita.
Yeah.
Like, when I was little, I would get really scared. So he was like, you're gonna get nightmares. Like, don't do it. And I was like, Dad, I'm a grown-ass woman now. I think I can talk about her. I think I can talk about her without being scared.
Are you sure? I'm already freaking out. And I gotta drive home, bro.
I don't know about you, but I have a dog, so I'll be okay for a few hours. But yes, we're gonna be talking about the one, the only La Llorona.
Yay!
So hopefully you guys like this episode.
Yeah, she's not really here. Hopefully she doesn't really come to visit us.
Okay, so for this episode, obviously it's La Llorona if you guys haven't guessed that correctly, but you guys know now. And we're gonna take it back to the very earliest stages of La Llorona. But first, I kind of want to mention to you guys, you have a lot of Latinos, Latinas, Hispanics, or if you guys are not any of those categories, then I'm pretty sure you guys have heard somewhat of a version of her. So there's a variation for every part of Mexico, every part of the United States. And we're just going to give you guys a little spark notes about her location. So La Llorona is a Mexican folk tale type of myth, a urban legend. So if you believe in her or you don't, either way, you guys heard a variation of her story.
Yes. I'm excited to see
I actually do believe in her.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Or of us being scared of her.
I think so. But we're going to take it back.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see how different your version is to mine.
Do you have ever encountered La Llorona?
Thankfully, I haven't, and I don't really want to. I don't want to see her because hopefully Bad Bitch Judy's ghost will come and save me.
Dude, she was trying to flicker my light, and I was like, girl, chill the fuck out. I'm not trying to have La Llorona over here.
Bad Bitch Judy's just trying to have your back, dude.
But La Llorona. Okay, so our girl La Llorona, because we're going to talk about the history of La Llorona. So La Llorona is a woman who wanders around rivers, which is somewhere that a lot of these people who have encountered her or have, come out with sightings that they have seen her around rivers, wet land. So, for example, when it rains, she tends to come out and wander. And yeah, so basically that's kind of where she kind of is located, deep in the woods sometimes. People have seen her here in Colorado. Yeah, definitely seen her in Texas. That's where a lot of these sightings come from. And obviously Mexico. So we have, even from Venezuela, we have all of those other places that have encountered her. So there's obviously variations of sightings and stories from her, but I'm going to talk about the most accurate for right now for a little history. So La Llorona also known as the Whipping Woman, is a woman who is believed to...
I'm scared.
Girl, Irma's looking at me with like wide eyes.
I'm scared. Now. Don't even go into it. Don't go into it, but go into it.
Yeah. Okay, so she is a woman who is dressed in all white from head to toe. People have described her as kind of more like a wind. Yeah. But when obviously a ghost. Yeah, very transparent. It kind of looks like a blur at first sighting. And then as she gets closer, it starts getting a little clearer and more solid as a human being.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, so that's a lot of detail right there when it comes to like how her body looks like. Okay. But mostly that's kind of it with her body. She tends to have long hair that kind of drapes, which is kind of like the black, which many might describe it as a veil, but a lot of people might actually view it as her hair. Yeah. She kind of looks like The Grudge, if you guys seen the movie The Grudge, kind of, you know, hair,
that's scary.
Everything. She's actually barefoot, guys, so Llorona does not own shoes. I don't know, maybe we should donate to her. She's out here walking around creeks and rivers.
With no shoes, barefoot.
Dude, I'm looking at my door right now and I'm
scared.
Okay. Anyways, so
why'd you pick something so scary?
Dude,
when we're recording at
doing this right now? She wears white. She's very pale. Her voice tends to be very faint at first. This is what people have said. This is kind of what I've heard from family members, from, you know, people that I've talked to about her, is that the louder she is, the further she is.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah, and if she's if you hear her further, she's closer to you.
Yes, that's what I heard. La Virgencita has her back.
I have God with me. So that's kind of the typical La Llorona, what everyone kind of imagines her to be. That's who she is. So it's the creek, the rivers, the dress, the looks, and the cry. And as you guys heard earlier, that cry will haunt you for life.
That's spooky. That shit is traumatizing as a kid, hearing that story.
Why is she so scary? And why are people scared of her? And why, in particular, are kids afraid of her? Now, there's, like I said, a lot of variations, but the most popular one, Leyenda La Llorona, dates back to the earliest times where the Spaniards came and conquered parts of Mexico at the time, and this is where this story came from. The history behind La Llorona dates back to the 16th century, according to anthropologist Barry Dean Santisteban. So, according to the anthropologists and historians that have studied or gone through the history of La Llorona and dated back to Mexico by the conquistadores, can you believe that? It dates back. I didn't really think it had a period.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just something.
It just started randomly.
Yeah. I just thought there was not really much of a history. It was more of a, okay, like people have been saying it for ages. Yeah, like that's kind of.
That's crazy. That's how you know this shit is real.
Yeah. So it kind of started with an Aztec girl at the time, very young, in 1502. So we're talking way back in the day. And her name was La Malinche. People call her Maria, her name. And La Malinche means that it was a nickname given to her, that young girl, because mal in Spanish is malo. So it's in Spanish is malo. In English it's bad. I'm sorry. So she was just so in love with this one guy, and his name was Conquistador Cortés. Now, Hernán Cortés is really well known in Mexico and everywhere, basically, because of, you know.
He's the one that colonized most of Latin America.
Exactly.
Or
I don't even like mentioning his name, but after that, they fell in love. They ended up having kids. And I guess back then, they weren't really, obviously, they weren't going to take pride in their woman, right? And thing is, like, he wasn't prideful. He didn't claim her. He left her, went back to Spain, had a wife, had other kids. She was heartbroken from Hernán Cortés, who left her.
She was not fucking around.
She was not fucking around. She just took that as in, you want to leave me?
I'm going to hurt you harder.
Now, the people there were not okay with that, especially the indigenous people. They did not like that. They thought that was very sinful. But according to the historians, this is another variation, that she was just a terrible mother. She was just not the best person in terms of like caring for her children.
I don't like this version because they're coming for the woman.
Yeah. That's the most historical way of viewing La Llorona at the time, which aka La Malinche, that a lot of historians believe that that story of La Llorona came from La Malinche. So it's based off of her. She is full of history, so you guys are ever interested in knowing about La Malinche and Hernan Cortez and why she is La Llorona.
The legend herself.
The legend herself. Take the mic, girl.
No, please don't take the mic, girl. Don't take the mic.
So, in that scary, crying, devastating, where are her kids? ¿Dónde están mis hijos? And this comes from actually before Spain. So a lot of historians have dated back to the most popular story, and this is the one that kind of a lot of us have heard throughout time, is that of her drowning her kids.
Yeah.
And why she drowned her kids. Because I just knew she drowned her kids. And growing up, you know, I would hear like, okay, well, she just drowned them because she didn't want them anymore. Or she was out for revenge. Or, you know, she had an abusive husband. Or, you know, etc.
I heard, yeah. That he left her and she drowned her kids in revenge.
Yeah. So that's basically the most popular one. So we're going to talk about Luisa and Don Muñoz, also known as Ramiro. So Luisa and Ramiro been lovers for a very long time, and they decided to, you know, kind of hook up and be together in that sense. But back then, it was all about class, and it's all about status. And unfortunately, Luisa did not fit the status that Ramiro was in, which Ramiro was a very rich man at the time who had land. And back then, if you had a land, that meant you were pretty much wealthy. She unfortunately did not come from a good family. She was actually pretty poor. And when they met and they fell in love, he couldn't claim her because his class and family, right? So what he did was, I'm pretty mad about that, but whatever.
Yeah. It's a little shady.
A little shady, but what he did was take her away from where she was living. So she was living in another pueblo or whatever she was living in, right? And he built her a little house for her to live in as a mistress. Homegirl was pretty content at the time. So she was okay with that.
Don't ever settle to be the side.
She wasn't aware she was a side.
Yeah, she thought she was the main.
She just, I don't know why she didn't notice though, right? Like,
yeah, she's not even in the main house.
She's not even in the main house. She's on the side house. But our girl Luisa, no one was there to tell her.
It's okay. It's a different time.
Yeah.
We don't understand it.
But she was okay with it. She was content because he kept visiting her. So he would visit her every single day, 5 days out of the week. So she was okay with that. And as time went on, he just stopped coming around. And he would stop visiting. And that time period would kind of fall for like once a week or, you know, twice a week. Not as much as him going every single day. So obviously, Luisa...
Yeah, she's suspecting something.
Yeah,
she's being sus.
She's being sus. Okay. Luisa, she's like, okay, this guy is being sus. Like, he's obviously not coming around anymore. He's not visiting me as much as before. And so she was like, okay, let me go look for him. So Luisa actually ended up walking to the main house, and she was not allowed to go in. Like, she was not allowed. And back then, there was like certain rooms that like servants or people that worked for that family were able to go in, and that was through like the kitchen or the back door, whatever. She just walked right in. The servant stopped her and told her, you can't be here, you know, we told you, or you know that you can't enter through the main room. She was like, okay, I understand that. I just want to find Ramiro. Like, I haven't seen him in a while. He hasn't stopped by, you know, to visit me. He hasn't came around for 2 months.
Bro, fuck him.
For 2 months.
He's shady.
Yeah, and by the way, they had already had children. So they had 2, and they were babies. Throughout everything, she had given birth, and I'm guessing by herself at that point, because he was not coming around. And so the servant actually told her that he was getting married that day of that she went.
Wow, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, so that he was getting married the day of. The moment she walked in and everything that day, he was going off and getting married
Dude.
to this one high-class lady. And yeah, they were getting married. And she obviously took the walk of shame back to her little side house.
And she was all heartbroken.
Yeah, she was heartbroken. The story goes that she was just incredibly heartbroken. Yeah. And as she was walking back to the cottage house or whatever she lived in, she started to get angrier. And she started to get really, really upset and angry. Mm-hmm. By the time she reached the place where she was living with her kids, she ended up entering the house, grabbing the kids, dragging them out to the river, because that was the place where she fell in love with Ramiro. By the way, that was in hiding, so I guess that was a good way for him to hide the relationship, to go places where normally people wouldn't really go. Yeah. And she ended up drowning her kids. And she was actually captured a few days after, and she was killed. She was actually hanged. Wow. At the time. So she was hanged for her crime. Mm-hmm. And Ramiro actually ended up, well, he was devastated because of what happened. Apparently, he actually did care for the kids, but yeah, right, at that point, they're gone. He was devastated about losing Luisa, because even though he was not there for her, he loved her. It was not enough, because Luisa came back to haunt them. Oh no. And Luisa did not. She came back and she began to haunt them, basically, and he died of a broken heart, and because he was getting haunted by Luisa, which aka turned out to be La Llorona. Oh damn. And Luisa. He died actually of, according to, again, history, of a broken heart and most likely a heart attack, because he was so scared of those cries that he would hear at night coming through. Right. And his wife actually ended up dying the day that Luisa died. Really? Yeah. Wow, I didn't know his new wife. Yeah. Yeah, so when Luisa got hanged, his wife mysteriously died the day of. Dang, she came back. Yeah, she came back and slashed them. Mm-hmm. She got the main one. Yeah, she really did. Yeah. So that's kind of basically it, right? The kids died. She died. Her lover died. And, you know, everyone kind of followed through that. But she definitely suffered. And the whole story of La Llorona is that she comes back looking for her kids because she regretted it back then. And it was way too late because, you know, killed them. Yeah, she then found out, like, oh my god, like, Ramiro actually does like me. Like, he loves me. But, I mean, truly, does he really? Yeah. But that was basically the story of how she ended up being La Llorona, Luisa. So that's a variation. That's the most popular one. I think that's the one that a lot of us have heard. Mm-hmm. You know, the whole betrayal, the jealousy. Yeah. There's other variations too, just a little, this is going to be short, but of her, like, not being baptized, her having so there was Luisa and her twin, and one of them actually got baptized, and the other one didn't. And according to back then, you know, those who were pure, those who were holy were baptized, and those who were seen as those who committed crime and whatnot were not baptized. But apparently her twin was the one who they got mixed up. The priest, when they were, you know, getting baptized, he messed up and he only ended up baptizing one of them out of the two pairs of twins. And Luisa was the one who didn't get baptized. So ever since then, she was able to commit those crimes. And she ended so she ended up killing, and she ended up turning it into, like, I guess her punishment was that she turned into a donkey. So yeah, so that Luisa turned into so that a variation of La Llorona is that she can turn into, like, anything, basically. Shape. Yeah, kind of like a duende. Wow, right? I didn't know that. Yeah, so that's one. I actually never really heard about that one until I was researching and looking up videos and seeing variations of this. And actually, this is actually a really popular one for a lot of people, but in different countries, like in Spain and, you know, other places like that, which La Llorona is pretty famous around there too. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much that part of the popularity and La Llorona and drowning her kids. Now, I do want to mention this happened in 1986. So is this like a true story? This is a true story. Now, we all know, if you believe in La Llorona, if you don't, there's a story for everything. But this is actually the true crime of it. In 1986, in San Antonio, Texas, Buffalo Bayou, a murder took place. And this case actually rocked a lot of people.
Rocked their socks?
Yeah, dude, they were spooky. Their little spooky socks came out. They were so scared.
Not the spooky socks.
The spooky socks came off, guys. But it's about Juana Marie. I don't know why I try to say it in Spanish like that. Juana Marie Lejía. And she was actually getting abused by her husband at the time. Ooh. So she was married, she was getting abused by her husband, and she had 7 kids.
God damn.
Yeah, so she...
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah, that's a lot of... But back then, you have to, like, you know, a lot of people used to have a lot of kids, especially Hispanics and, like, Latinos. And she ended up killing her kids. In her mind, she wanted to stop the suffering for her kids because she would get beaten every single day. He decided she didn't want to take that anymore. Ended up dragging her 7 kids to the river, successfully killing 2 of them. And this was Juana and Judas Dimas. And before she was able to actually go through with the killing of the rest of her kids, the police got there, arrested her, and able to save the rest of the kids.
Oh, good.
She went to prison, and while she was in trial, they asked her, like, what's the motive? Like, why were you able to carry out this horrendous crime? And she stated that, one, she was getting very abused by her husband. She didn't want to take it any longer. And second, she called herself La Llorona.
Wow, that's crazy. I've never
she
heard
felt
that.
her in her. Like, her spirit was in her. That she spoke about things that nobody would really know. So obviously people were like, okay, this bitch is like obviously crazy as fuck. Let me put her in a psych
she really
ward
thinks
or
she's
whatever.
the Llorona.
Yeah. She ended up staying there, and the day she died, she claimed to be La Llorona. Yeah, pretty much that was kind of like the history of La Llorona.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that case.
Yeah, that one was in San Antonio, Texas. So it was crazy. And when I was looking into stuff like that, the judge at the time just declared her mentally unstable and not capable of being in a prison because of her mental state. So they sent her off to a psych ward. But she did claim to be La Llorona. And she went around doing the whole effects of the crying and, you know, saying that, you know, she was going to haunt people and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
What if that's why there's so many La Lloronas? Because
maybe there's like a lot of impersonators, but basically that's kind of it, guys. Hopefully you guys got the whole history behind. But I do want to talk about some sightings and what people have said about her.
I'm scared.
Growing up, I would hear like variations of, you know, what people actually experience. Not really kind of like the history, but more of like my sightings, my history, and seeing her when they were little. And a lot of these stories come from when like they were little, right? Like when they're kids, and because obviously Llorona would come and, you know, snatch the kids up. Yeah. And they would hear her like, you know, close, you know, to the windows. And my grandpa would talk about it, you know, because we in Mexico, so my family originates from Oaxaca, and he would talk about how there's a creek that just happens to flow where we lived, and talk about how you couldn't go past out a certain time, and it would be like once it got dark, you had to go back home. Kind of things that would linger around would be the fear of La Llorona showing up, and duendes showing up, and, you know, kind of like that. Like my grandpa would say that she would be like she's a variation of a duende, shapeshift or whatever, and turn into anything that you kind of she wanted to be. So he would actually tell us, you know, we would not go anywhere near there, or, you know, we'll try not to get anywhere close to the creek at a certain time.
Like, Mexico's just a creepy place. There's so many legends and so many ghosts.
I feel like everybody's like, I don't know, dude. I feel like La Llorona was played. Yeah. I feel like she got played. And she deserves justice.
But not by killing her kids.
Yeah, not by killing her kids, but...
And haunting everyone in Mexico.
But obviously, she got played by a man, so if it gets traced back to a man, I am not surprised.
Yes. Always ruining everything.
It always starts with a man, dude. She was chilling, doing her thing, being happy, being a happy girlfriend, wife, whatever you want to call it. The moment the man did something, she went crazy.
Yeah.
It's always the man.
Yeah.
So,
do you have any stories? Other
story about me being little? I was actually going on a field trip with my class. So I think I was in like 2nd, 3rd grade. And, you know, like as kids, you get bored inside the bus and stuff like that. So I was sitting next to this one girl. I don't know her name, but I was sitting next to her. She was in my class. She was a friend. And we were talking, like, in between, like, a group of us, like, 4, the people next to me sitting in the bus. We were talking about, like, the craziest, like, spookiest shit, right? That we were, you know, that we knew at the time when we were little. So this girl didn't know about La Llorona. And I knew about La Llorona. And so I was telling her...
Where is this going, Karina?
Dude, I was telling her, like, oh my god, like, she drowned her kids. And, you know, like, if you misbehave, like, she's gonna come for your ass. And basically, like... You know, she hides and she enters, like, through windows. And I was, like, at one point, I feel like I was, like, making shit up.
Oh, my
just to scare her. But she was terrified, dude. Like, she was so scared. And we were on our way to, like, a zoo. There you go. We were on our way to, like, a zoo. So I would, like, scare her throughout, like, the trip. Yeah, I'll be like, oh, my God, that's where, like, the Llorona would hide. Like, you know, through the trees and stuff like that. And... You know, she wouldn't say anything, though. Yeah. Like, she just wouldn't really say much. But I felt like I traumatized her throughout the whole trip. So, she went home, and she had nightmares. Yeah. So, she started getting nightmares about it. I think her parents noticed about it. And they asked her, like, why can't you sleep or whatever. She told her parents, oh, like, my classmate, Karina, like, she told me about La Llorona. So her parents actually ended up going to school and complaining.
Oh my god,
like to principal about me, and I got in trouble. And my parents told me not to say anything anymore. And then I would tell the girl, like, oh my god, yeah, like La Llorona came to see me.
Why? Who gave you permission to traumatize kids?
And then, like, my parents, you need to apologize. So I remember writing a letter, dude. I wrote a letter to the girl. It was all lies, like, you know, I'm obviously in person too, but I remember having to write, like, a letter to her because I traumatized her. And I told her that the Llorona would come and visit me and stuff like that, and that La Llorona lived where my uncle lived. Because my uncles live in this apartment complex, and underneath, they have, like, a little playground. And back then, it was a pool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so back then, it was a pool, but they turned it into, like, a playground. But back then, it was empty. It was always fucking empty, and there was no one around. Like, it was all blocked off. And I would always ask my parents, like, why is it blocked off? Because it was so scary, and it was so deep.
Damn.
And my mom was like, es que se murió un niñito. So, I don't know, but... That a little boy died, and because I never once saw that pool with water, never. It was always empty. And so she was like, yeah, like, se murió un niñito. La Llorona, like, ended up
killing him. Oh, hell no.
La Llorona se comió, se agarró el niñito. Wow. And I would be like, oh my god. You know?
And then you go and tell
your classmates. Dude, I go and tell my classmates about it, dude. I was like, oh my god, La Llorona lives in, like, where my tios live, like, underneath, like, their, you know, where they live, their apartment or whatever. And I got in trouble because of that, dude.
Oh my god, dude. You never told me this.
Yes, dude. I remember just, like, I got in so much trouble for being, because I would tell stories, dude. And it was always me and my stories. And I remember I got in trouble because of that. Because I kind of traumatized someone.
You stay traumatizing people with La Llorona, dude. I
was so small and I was making shit up. Like, half of that shit that I was saying was not even true. But all I knew was, like a little bit of La Llorona, what my mom would tell me. Because my mom, dude, whole different conversation. But she's super superstitious. And she's all about crazy shit like that, like the spooky stuff. So she would always tell me stuff like that. Like, oh, you know, like, Llorona te va a venir a agarrar, or no entras a la casa a las 12 porque entran los demonios contigo.
Oh, hell no, I gotta go home,
yeah,
bro.
Or she's like, oh, don't pass the vacuum past 8.
Because, like, don't vacuum. I've heard that.
Like, don't vacuum past 8 because you wake up, like, the bad spirits or whatever, right? Yeah, or, like, you get bad vibes or something like that. Or no abres la puerta a las 12, no abres la puerta a las 1 y a las 3 because entran los demonios, or you let, like, bad spirits in. Or, you know, she'll be like limpiándome and shit like that with ruda, because it's like a plant, right? And she'll like me hacer limpieza when I would have nightmares. Yeah. Because she would be like, oh, es porque like alguien te está chupando el espíritu, porque alguien te echó ojo. Like my mom would always say all these crazy shit, dude. So I grew up like scared as fuck at everything.
Dang, she needs to come and bless us right now.
No,
I'm
dude,
scared. Where's she?
She needs to relax on telling me shit, because I went out and I told my teacher, I was like, because my mom told me. And then obviously my mom like backtracked and she was like, I don't know where the fuck she got that shit from, but it was not from me. And it was from my mom.
It's only okay when she scares you, not when you scare other kids.
But then she was like mad as fuck with me. She was like, I can't believe you went and told other people about it. And I was like, ma, pero es porque usted me estaba diciendo esas cosas when I was little, you know?
Like she was telling you.
Yeah, she was like, es que usted me estaba contando esas cosas. Like, it's like real. She's like, no, your mom se estaba diciendo porque, you know, like, because you're like misbehave or you'll cry. Because I was growing up when I was little, I was a really crybaby. Like, I would always cry for everything.
I mean, I still do, but
I was like very chiquiona. So I would always want to be with my mom like that. So she would always tell me, like, if you cry, like, Llorona's gonna come get you. And te voy a ir a dejar con donde vive tus tíos. That's what she would always tell me, dude. But I ended up getting in trouble.
Dang, girl. I did not
know. And here I am, like, what, 15 years later, talking about
her scaring everyone on the podcast.
Talking about a Llorona.
You haven't changed. I'm gonna call your mom and be like, yo, come get her. Come get her.
Don't ever talk about her again. Dude, that shit is funny.
Dude, that's mad funny.
Yeah, dude, that's what happened. I was little. I got in trouble. Telling stories.
Dang.
Yeah.
I wonder if that girl still talks about you and is like, this bitch.
She's probably like...
She told me this story about, like, Llorona.
She comes across this podcast. It was like, it was that bitch who traumatized them. I don't remember who it was, dude. And I'm trying to, like, maybe it was my friend. I don't want to say her name, but if it wasn't her, it was someone in my class, dude. Yeah. And I scared the fuck out of her.
Dang, Karina.
And I was claiming...
Low,
dude,
bro.
I was claiming that I knew that Llorona. That Llorona
knew... personally?
Yeah, I
I mean, she was our first guest.
Dude.
You do. Like, you have the hookups.
Bro, chill. You're scaring me now. There's, like, an empty chair right next to us. So I'm like, why the fuck is it there?
No. You put it there for our first guest.
But
I'm just kidding. She's not here. Don't come, please. You're not invited.
No, dude. I'm trying to give out your good, like, giving you justice, La Llorona. So we come out with merch. It's gonna be like justice for La Llorona.
That is a good idea.
She ain't do nothing.
We should put out, if you guys are interested in a shirt that says justice for La Llorona.
Yes, dude.
Please comment below.
They played her. The historians played her. You know, that Miro played her. Yeah, dude. She's just heartbroken, bro. Maybe she shouldn't have killed her kids, but...
I understand why she's mad, but she shouldn't come for the kids.
Yeah, that was bad. Like, you know, that was bad, but...
But we get you, girl. We
get her anger. You know, we go a little crazy sometimes. Maybe not kill kids, but we get a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah, the killing the kids is not justified, but I get her anger.
Shut up.
Dude, you scared me. Stop. You shut up. We should add that.
Dude, I don't want to go home. I mean, I am home. Did you really? Yes, dude.
Shut up. Did you really see
Dude, I really did.
Bitch, I'm not coming to record with you no more.
Dude, I swear. Did you, like, wave this shit?
I did wave this.
No, bro, it's not picking that shit up. Why am I the only one seeing all this shit, dude?
Bro, I'm about to leave. Good night.
Dude, I was looking at my mirror and I was like, we're really gonna have to leave.
I'm never gonna record at your place ever again. Dude, we're gonna go back to recording.
Next episode is gonna be like fucking Karina's house being haunted as fuck.
No,
the haunted hill.
No, we're not recording at your house anymore.
Dude, it's
only
you know
through
why?
Skype.
It's because like
distancing.
Like my mom would always tell me that I was like weak, like that. Like people can haunt me easily because.
After traumatizing me, I'm gonna haunt you now too. Expect my ghost. Thank you, Karina.
I know, La Llorona.
I'm scared to go home.
And you guys didn't hear her cries.
Thank you, Karina. That was awesome. I'm scared to go home now and drive home by myself. What if she comes and gets me, bro?
A little spooky.
It's a little spooky.
Yeah, but if you guys have any more stories of La Llorona, if you guys have family members that's seen her or experienced her, let us know.
Email us.
Yeah, and we're gonna put that up for our bonus episode of scary and experience of La Llorona. But it's a really famous story. I feel like a lot of people have actually seen her around, I do actually believe in it.
Yeah,
I believe it's a spirit, and definitely a spirit that haunts.
I agree.
Mexico, and the Mexican people find it very like something like they're very proud of as well, because it's a very well known story. But I also think that it's pretty true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scared of her.
I always feel like this. Like, if there's goodness in the world, good spirits, good vibes, there's always going to be a darkness that follows along with it. Yeah. It's like a yin-yang type of thing. And
that's
that
scary.
Llorona falls into the whole darkness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, pretty much I do believe in her. Do you believe in her?
I do. I'm scared, honestly.
Me too. Yeah, guys, hopefully you guys like this second episode, and we are not making this podcast like a really long podcast either, so we have a time limit, guys, but hopefully you guys did like this episode, and hopefully you guys like the story of La Leyenda La Llorona.
Thank you, Karina, so much for your rendition of La Llorona.
No problem. Hopefully you guys liked it and you guys enjoy it, and hopefully you guys are even more scared about it, because I will link a few videos about experiences that other people have had and sightings.
I'm not ready.
I think you're ready. You better be ready. You have no choice but to
this is too much for me. I'm already scared.
But on a different side note,
we mentioned in our first episode that we were going to randomize the locations of our episodes so that way we can cover a wider range.
Yeah.
So Karina is going to spin the wheel for me to decide where my episode is going to be based on.
Yeah.
So
since we don't really have such a big, wide... There's so many cases that we want to do. We kind of want to make it a little bit more broad. Locations. So 1, 2, 3...
Okay, so I got Australia. It's my turn.
It's your turn.
Let's see what I get. So do you want to spin the wheel and see whether it's going to be based on something spooky, supernatural, or true crime?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, so I got Australia. How exciting. I'm excited. Okay, hopefully... Okay, so Karina is going to spin the wheel now that we have our continent.
Wait, what do you think you're going to get?
I kind of hope I get something supernatural.
You think you're going to get supernatural?
I hope so, but we'll see. Karina's going to spin the wheel to decide what
you can't see it, though.
Okay.
It's going to be a surprise.
All right, go.
What's it? What is this Jeopardy song? It's going to come out?
Yeah.
What do you think you got?
Supernatural. What did I get?
You're wrong.
No, what did I get?
True crime.
Put my little investigation hat on and find a true crime case to cover from Australia.
Let's do it, man. It's going to be
How
cool.
exciting.
I'm excited to listen to it, because I know you got some good ones.
We'll see.
And Irma watches a shitload of documentaries and a lot of these movies, so...
I love research, so I'm excited. Alrighty.
Cool.
Well, so should we wrap this up?
Yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for again listening. And, you guys are listening to this, I'm assuming, on a Sunday. And if not, it's okay, because
we tried.
We tried. And you guys are closer to the next episode that's going to be ours. So thank you again so much for all the listeners, for the support again. And we're very excited to continue doing this.
Yes.
And hopefully you guys are here to... follow along with us and
on our podcasting journey. Thank you again, everybody. And like Karina said, we're very grateful. And please make sure to subscribe so you can get our episodes and comment and rate.
You can do that. That would be awesome.
Yes, so make sure to follow our social media.
Another Spooky Podcast.
On Twitter at
@ASpookyPodcast.
And send us a Gmail at
I hope she doesn't come for us.
I think she's gonna come for us.
No.
Bye. Bye.